welcome to AP on Play. I am your host, Anjali Prasad. Today's guest is newly elected Township Supervisor, Mr. Mike McCready. Mike, I'm so excited to have you today.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. I have so much to talk to you about, but let's have you just give the audience a flavor of your background before we start.
Well, I was in the economic development world with Oakland County, then the city of Novi, and working with many of our local businesses. We've had some good expansion over the years, so we're able to try and keep our businesses here versus losing them to other communities. That's what we always focused on, retention first, and then recruitment. And we're out looking for new businesses to come in and open up offices in Oakland County or in the city of Novi, especially in the state of Michigan, because you work with the MEDC and the Detroit Regional Partnership, and they're kind of leaders in that area. And we had some great success. We've had some good years here, and it all started, years ago. This economic development when Brooks was the county executive, probably back in 2000, and really set a strong pace to bring in international companies to our area. That's why we see a lot from Germany, Switzerland, Asia. It's been great.
You were a small business owner.
I was a manufacturer's rep. I came out of the contract furniture industry.
Okay. And you're actually, what I like about your background, I was thinking to myself, is you've lived in several townships and several cities. I know you went to Seaholm, right?
I did.
So does that mean you grew up in Birmingham?
Well, it was Bloomfield Village. I grew up in the village.
Oh, okay. So
right.
You grew up in Bloomfield Village, and eventually you made your way to Bloomfield Hills, where you ran for office.
I did.
And then now you're in Bloomfield Township.
That's correct.
Running for office again. So let's start with your interest in public office and your earlier jobs.
Well, I was working in the contract furniture industry. I was a manufacturer's rep, and I got involved with local politics in the city of Bloomfield Hills, serving on the zoning board.
Okay.
And at that time, we were talking about generators were new to the community.
What year was that?
That had been 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, generators were starting to come in the community, and gates. People wanted gates for their front of their house. Fences, those were issues. We had a couple of big buildings that came in we're dealing with at the time.
In Bloomfield Hills?
Yeah, in Bloomfield Hills.
Which ones?
Well, first was Ark and Jonas development on the corner of Long Lake and Woodward.
Yes.
Where there's, Bill's Restaurant.
Yes.
And
that used to be the
old
Macus,
Fox,
Fox, I remember.
Fox and Hounds.
Yes,
remember Fox and
right,
Hounds?
I do remember.
That's the old piano bar in there, the seafood bar.
Oh, I forgot about the piano bar. Yes.
Remember that?
That was a cool spot.
Great spot.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was like a club. You go in there and you'd always see the same people.
That was very cool. Who owned that?
I can't recall their name, but Arkin bought that. And remember the Shell station that was on the corner?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd taken my daughters to school. We'd stop in there in the morning and usually pick up a cup of coffee and a hot chocolate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he took over that and tore it down and put up the office building there where we have a Brugger's Bagel.
Yes.
There's a cupcake shop, I think a nail salon.
There's a nail salon.
Law firm upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we started working on PUDs, planned unit developments, and brought the PUDs into the community.
Okay.
Yeah, which gave us some ability to do some multi-type developments.
Right. So you started on the zoning board, and then eventually, did you run for city council?
I did. I actually had run for the commission quite a few times and lost, but in those days, those seats didn't change. People would just get reelected every 2 years.
Yeah.
But I still threw my name in. Didn't spend any money, but I threw my name in, and then finally was elected in, in 2007, I think it was, to the city commission, and started to learn about how local government operates, and really enjoyed it. Bloomfield is a very nice community of about 3,800 residents, about 1,600 homes, 1,650 homes, about 5 square miles. And, we run public safety, DPW, and, we have a clerk, treasurer.
Right.
And our budget at that time was maybe $8.5 million, and I'm sure it's probably well north of that now. But the big thing when we came in is we need to start working on our roads. Our roads were a mess, and we needed to create a line item for road repair, number one, and then we had to do some work on getting roads repaved. And the first major road that was repaved when I first got into office was Lone Pine Road. and it was so nice.
Lone Pine, so that would have been between, what, Woodward and Telegraph?
No, probably Woodward and Lasser.
Woodward and Lasser.
Yeah, because this is the city.
Yes.
Yep, and then after that, we redid Kensington Road.
Yes.
And Vaughan Road. Those were some major repairs.
Vaughan used to be a dirt road, didn't it?
No, maybe way back when. But
Yeah, I think when I was growing up,
Yeah,
yeah.
but, and I walked those roads when they ripped them up, and boy, underneath the infrastructure, the water lines, the sewer lines, they were old. You really get a good look at how time takes its toll. And then we repaved, and they were beautiful. I mean, Vaughan, Kensington and Vaughan were a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so we started working on, that was a big issue, just like we have in the township now, road repair.
Educate me, aren't some roads in Bloomfield Hills managed by the county? Do I have that right? Or are they all
Some
Bloomfield
roads
Hills?
may be, like Woodward and Telegraph, but they're contracted out for maybe the local community to help with them. But the county, actually, no, those are state roads that are contracted to the county to plow and maintain it, and then we help out with the medians.
Okay.
And then Vaughan Road, we plow as well as the interior roads. I forget the schedule, but we kind of share responsibilities with the county and the state. They hire or contract us out as local municipalities to help in certain areas.
Okay.
Yeah, whether they own it or not. So making sure we get good coverage.
Now, Lasser Road, one side is Bloomfield Hills, the other side is Bloomfield Township. So who manages that?
I think we kind of share that responsibility, and I don't recall exactly how it gets done, but I think between a certain area, the city may take care of it, and on the other side, the township will take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't recall exactly the agreement.
So Bloomfield Hills City Council, then you were on, you said you took over in about 2007.
Yep, got on the commission. We go by commission, some go by council, we go by commission.
Right, okay.
Right. And I was on the commission for about 5.5 years, served as mayor for a year. We rotated mayors.
Yes.
So it's kind of fun to do that. And then I was elected to the State House in November of 2012 and sworn into office in January of 2013.
And you remained there for several years.
I did 3 two-year terms in the State House. And Rick Snyder was our governor at the time, and kind of enjoyed meeting all the different reps from around the state and the senators and getting to know the governor and his staff. And
was that a tough election for the House rep election, going statewide like that?
For me, it was a tough primary.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very tough primary. And then the general wasn't as difficult because it was a Republican-leaning district at the time, and I ran as a Republican. So we had about 4 of us in the primary in August of 2012. It was a very close vote. And then in the general election, it wasn't. It was, I think we were 56 or 57% Republican at the time.
Okay.
Where now I think our community is really, it's 50-50.
Haven't they redistricted our community?
Yeah, Bloomfield Township now I think has 4 state reps that cover our community
Yes,
versus
and
one.
it got very complicated, I think. So when you were state rep, you were responsible for which areas?
Birmingham, the city of Bloomfield Hills, Bloomfield Township, and about a third of West Bloomfield.
Okay.
Yeah, and I met a lot of good people, but it was now they've kind of have it so cut up that we have 4 state reps for Bloomfield Township.
I know. I had a state rep on here, and I had Donnie Steele on here.
Yeah, Donnie's from Lake Orion.
Yes, and she has Bloomfield Hills, and I think just a fraction of.
I don't think she has the city. I think
she has. Yes, she does have the city, which is how I know her.
Okay,
yes.
Because I know there's Samantha Steckloff also has part of the township. I thought, and maybe part of Birmingham, and then there's another rep who has Birmingham, and then goes south down Woodward Avenue.
Okay.
And then there's another rep who has like another corner of our township that I have.
It's really weird the way they did that.
Yeah, cut it up.
Yeah.
I know. But I always had the same community and visited with the township officials and the residents. Used to hold my office hours over at the library, Bloomfield Township Library.
Okay,
They're always very accommodating.
Yes. And I was reading when you were House rep, let me see what your biography says. You sponsored dynamic legislation that generated revenue to fix Michigan roads.
Correct.
What was that?
That was in 2015. I put out a 4-bill package about raising our taxes at the wholesale level gas and adding an inflationary factor to that so that it would constantly grow.
Okay.
And I think if I remember correctly at the time, MDOT had about a $4 billion budget for roads, and we increased it over a period of time to about 1.2 billion more. So,
okay.
And then there's an inflationary factor in there to help start jump-starting our repair and replacement of roads and bridges because it was in such dire repair.
Yeah.
And so we put that, and we were able to get that passed along with some other bills.
Was it hard to get that passed? Did you guys have the majority back then?
We did.
Okay.
We did. And I forget how the vote went, but we were able to get it passed and move forward because we had to get something going.
It just, to me, it seems that roads is one of those unobjectionable items that everybody should rally behind.
Yeah, well, it costs money, and because of the weather patterns we have here, our roads will freeze up and then defrost quickly, which causes them a lot of stress and cracking, and then to go back in and repair that before the water seeps in and makes it worse.
Yeah.
So we have probably one of the hardest environments on roads in the United States.
Yeah, that's a good point because of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. I'm talking about your state
Sure.
rep work, and then we'll move you to the Bloomfield Township in a minute. But let's go to state rep. Negotiated a $46 million increase in university operations budgets.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was chairing higher education at the time. I did it 2 years on appropriations and chaired the higher education, which is 15 of our public universities.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It's a higher education committee or subcommittee?
Yeah, it's appropriations. It'd be a
Okay.
subcommittee of appropriations. And we also provide some money to the private colleges and universities also. But at the time, we had to expand their budgets. They were having a hard time. And the legislature controls how much they can do or ask them not to increase over a certain amount every year in tuition rates. So we'd also set a number not to exceed, and then we have a formula that we distribute dollars to the universities, and it's kind of an unequal distribution that favors some schools over others. It's not like public schools where we pay a per pupil amount, the same amount to all schools unless you're a hold harmless district. And but the universities we provided more funding, and hopefully it helps. But universities, depending on the school, really depend on out-of-state tuition to help carry the day.
Yes, sometimes to the detriment of in-state students who apply, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an argument.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
When we have incredibly qualified in-state students,
Yes.
like my own children,
Yep.
but the out-of-staters the fact that they're out of state plays into the equation.
It does.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time when I was in the legislature, I think like University of Michigan would receive 70,000 freshman applications for how many spots, I forget. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, imagine going through all those. Right.
And it's even more competitive now.
I heard the numbers are way through the roof.
Yeah.
The better the football team, the more applications come in. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so state rep, so you were there for 6 years.
Correct.
Okay, and generally had a good experience there.
Had a very good experience,
Yeah.
met a lot of good people, kind of found out how our government operates.
So you went from, what's cool about your background, Mike, is you had the local experience of Bloomfield Hills, then you went state, and then what happened after you left the representative's house?
So I had ran for the state senate in 2018 and was unsuccessful. We had that blue wave that moved across the state.
You and I were on the ballot the same year, because I was on the ballot for school board 2018.
That's what you were saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And what'd you say? You were the only female not to get elected?
I did say that. I think that was the year that women just swept
Everything.
the state.
Everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good loss for me, actually, because I was able to get an appointment to Oakland County as the Director of Economic Development and Community Affairs.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Okay. Director of Department of Economic Development and Community Affairs. So what is this department?
Well, we were out. They have within the department. I think there were 7 or 8 different areas of. One was planning. One was Main Street Tech 248. and small business financing. But we went out and called on local businesses doing retention calls. So if, let's say, you're an ABC company and you're growing, we want to work with you to stay in our community, help you find space, negotiate space, see if there's any incentives out there that we can help to and keep you in our community. And then the other aspect is the recruitment side, where we're out traveling across the country, across really the world, talking to businesses about opening up their expansion into our community and what we have to offer. And since we have the auto industries here, we have a strong base to come in, as a tier supplier.
Right.
And it hit the supplier base as well. And Oakland County's been very active in that, and they continue today in being active.
How long were you there for?
Oakland County, I was there for about 2 years.
Okay.
And there was a changeover in administration between Brooks Patterson and then Dave Coulter. And,
Right.
and Dave was bringing all his people in, and so I decided I'd take a look, and I moved to Novi and did economic development in the city of Novi. And I really enjoyed, that's a great community.
Yes.
Lots going on there, very diverse
really
community.
up and coming. You know, at least when I was younger, it wasn't really a great community.
No, it's farmland.
Exactly. It was farmland, but boy, it's really flourished.
Dynamic.
Dynamic, totally dynamic.
Yeah, the home building that's gone on there is just incredible. They have a great school system.
Yes.
One of the tops in the state.
Yeah.
Yep, and their government they've had some very good people on their city council there, made good decisions, and they're financially very strong.
They have that 12 Oaks Mall.
They do.
That brings in a lot of revenue.
Well, it brings a lot of people into the community,
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a downtown, but
No.
they have strip malls, and then they have the big mall itself.
Right.
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 And I know people there would like to have a downtown, but it's kind of hard to find an area to make that development happen.
Yeah. Does Bloomfield Township have a downtown?
I think it's called Birmingham.
Yes. So now let's bring you back to, obviously you eventually moved to Bloomfield Township, and you recently won the election, township manager. Why did you decide to run?
Well, I've been talking with some of my friends about it for a couple of years, looking at the opportunity and trying to give back to my community. And so I decided I'd throw my hat in the ring and went out and started knocking doors and meeting our residents and got some good support. And I enjoyed that. We had a great summer and fall for campaigning.
Yeah.
The weather was perfect.
When you knock doors, did people answer?
Occasionally.
I don't answer if somebody comes knocking on my door.
Yeah, things have changed, haven't they?
Yes,
You know?
yes.
I don't know if you ever watched there's a comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco, and he does this bit about answering the doorbell now compared to when you were a kid growing up.
Yeah.
And when you were a kid, you'd fight to run to the door. I got it.
That's true.
And now everybody, hide. We don't want to talk to anybody.
That's very true.
They have these Ring doorbells.
Yeah.
And people are in there, but you hit the Ring doorbell and you're just, no one's home again.
Right.
So I started talking to the Ring doorbells after a while. Say I am introducing myself. And
Good ploy.
yeah, well, it's got to be creative.
Yeah.
But and people would be out in their yard though too, and they'd give me a chance to say hello, and I'd walk up with my card so they know
So they
that
knew
I
who
was
you were, yeah.
knew who I was, and okay, thank you. And some people would talk to you, and others, obviously they're busy.
This was by the time you ran for township manager, you had several elections under your belt.
As a state rep.
Yeah, 3 for
And then-
state rep and
then
maybe
as a
2 for
commission.
commission?
I think I ran 3 times in the city of Bloomfield
Okay.
Hills, right? And it was successfully, because I had ran before unsuccessfully, but at the time these positions didn't change.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have to hand it to you. I mean, just putting your name on the ballot is so stressful, and it's really...
Yeah, I know. And then we had yard signs out everywhere, and I wanted to get those yard signs down as soon as possible. You get, I call it visual pollution.
Yeah.
It's part of our political makeup, but
Yeah.
after a while you're like, oh, this is just too much.
Right.
And so I think it was Tuesday on the election day, my son-in-law and I went out and started taking my signs down. I said I couldn't wait. He has a pickup truck. I said, Andrew, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
I got to get these signs down. I'm tired of looking at them.
Yes.
And it's a good way to kind of take time away and wrapping up with the election and kind of divert your attention away from the vote.
Was election day stressful?
No, not really, because I think I'd been through them before.
Right.
And it's up to the vote of the people. It's all in their hands. And we never did any polling. So
Okay.
I was anxious to see the vote count and see how effective we were
Yeah.
in getting our message across to the community. And but I have to be honest, my biggest desire was to take those yard signs down as soon as possible.
I'm sure people appreciated that.
Yeah.
I saw presidential signs up for weeks. I don't know who was responsible for that, but they really lingered.
They do, and we used to have we have ordinances on it, but there's been court decisions that allow these things now to linger where you really don't have the authority that we once had.
Yeah.
But usually we'll send out, I know we can send our ordinance department to go pick them up or go ask the people it's time to take them in.
Right.
But sometimes people like making a statement, and so they stay with it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Bloomfield Township. What do you want? What did you think was not done properly in the last couple of years, and where do you want to take the township?
Well, I think we've had a problem with retaining employees.
Okay.
And we're losing institutional knowledge.
How many employees does the township have?
I've heard different numbers, about 250 full-time plus
Okay.
50 to 75. But I've heard different numbers. I'm still trying to focus in on that. It depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
But that's about the number. And we have to be competitive with our wage and benefit structure and with other communities. And I think we were kind of allowing time to get by without negotiating and looking at what other communities are. But there was a compensation recently completed that kind of gave us some insight of where we are, but there was an overview of it, but he didn't, in the compensation study, show us their work or their formulas. So they said, you need to do this, you need to do that, and we're like, based on what? And how did you come to that conclusion? So we have to dig into this report and try and understand, how did you come to this conclusion, and really where are we amongst these other 20 communities they compared us to?
Right.
So that was one of the areas of we're losing people to other communities or private services because they paid more and they had maybe better benefits. And right now, we're probably, because we have such low unemployment, we're all fighting for employees on the merry-go-round. I don't necessarily think we have to be the highest paying community. We need to be competitive, and we need to have a healthy work environment. And if we have those things, I think we'll have we'll be a good destination employer, but it doesn't mean they're going to stay with us like they used to, because there are no longer pensions and lifetime health care benefits.
Sure.
So
Right.
people now are portable.
Yes. Yeah, they sure are. What else? What other issues do you want to kind of tackle during your tenure?
The water and sewer rates, that was a big issue I'd hear about from many of our residents.
Yeah.
The cost of water and sewer is not going to get any cheaper. We have to learn how to find a way to kind of be able to hold down and control our rates better, which may take a long-term investment on the part of the township. And we're going to take a look at that, whether it means joining a water consortium where you buy water at wholesale rates and then use that water during peak times.
Oh. Do neighboring communities
They do.
participate in this?
They do. It's expensive, but
Okay.
you have to look at what the long-term cost would be and the savings would be to the community. I think we have to get that under the microscope. There's might be some opportunities excuse me, there, as well as on the road construction. We do what's called a special assessment district, or what's referred to as a SAD. And that is kind of very expensive to our residents, but our roads are in such disrepair, and money isn't flowing down from the state or to the county enough to redo our roads.
Why not?
Well, that's a very good question, because we didn't really touch the road funding formula that's in Lansing. But the county owns our roads, and they give us some money every year for our roads.
The county owns the Bloomfield Township roads?
Yeah,
Is that,
the road commission. I believe it's the road commission of Oakland County owns our roads.
Okay.
But also there's some participation there from the county as well. But we're going to have to turn to them to hopefully find some more funding, as well as to the state. And I talked to a couple of our state reps about, can we get direct funding into the township? Would you consider it not going through the formula? Give us the money so it doesn't go through other hands and gets taken away from us. Because our residents pay a lot of taxes.
Yes.
And I think we deserve a little bit more attention to the matter, because these SADs are just so expensive. and they're not tax deductible. And that's maybe another area we can talk to our federal and state reps about is, would there be consideration, since we're providing a benefit to the community as well as taking over the responsibility that our county has, is there something else that we can do to help make this a little easier on our residents?
We do deserve better roads, and so do our kids.
Right.
I mean, I have a 16-year-old, and he shouldn't have to. We deserve better roads.
We do.
Yeah.
And then some of the roads that have been repaved, they're absolutely beautiful. And then the other issue, now the new issue is we get people speeding down these roads. So when it's,
Yes, I have a 16-year-old driver.
so when it's a pothole infested road,
Yeah.
it's a natural barrier to speeding.
Right.
Yeah, for the most part. And then, but when you repave a road and it's like it's so nice and soft, it's
Yeah.
like gas it. Let's, and it's like, no, don't. So we've created another situation of this is great, but we have some speeding issues now to address.
Yes, we do. Mike, what about these transnational gangs? I know everybody's always thinking about it.
Yeah.
What's the status? What's happening? What can we do about it?
They're out there, and I know the
They're
sheriff's
still prowling?
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
sheriff's office is working on it diligently with local law enforcement, our
Okay,
people.
good.
And they're trying to wrap their arms around it. But you arrest one gang, and there's 5 other that will fill their spot. It's nonstop. So we're going to continue to have to monitor that situation, provide high quality police presence in our community, invest heavy into our police to make sure we're fully staffed so we can,
Yes.
patrol the neighborhoods and stay on top of these issues. And that's a real challenge because not a lot of people want to go into law enforcement these days. It's a sacrifice. They
It's
give up a lot.
sacrifice. And it's very thankless, sorry. Where,
Oh, yeah, they're frontliners.
Yeah, they're frontliners.
Yeah, they
and-
deal with a lot of things in the
Yes.
community that we don't necessarily, all want to deal with.
Yeah.
But they're there, and we have some openings, and we have to talk about how we can do better at recruiting and hanging on to our officers because we are losing them to
So
other
Bloomfield
communities.
Township Police Department has openings?
They do have some
Okay,
openings
good
right
to
now,
know, yeah.
and we have some retirements coming up, which are going to create more openings.
Yes.
But they also get recruited away into other communities because of higher pay. Maybe they go to a defined benefit, retirement plan, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
But we have to, like I said, be competitive on our wage and rates, have a healthy work environment, and understanding the changing and dynamics of the request of the younger generation of what their needs are.
Right. Mike, I'm taking notes because I'd like to ask you back in a few months.
Okay.
And we can
See
circle
how
back
things
to some of your ideas that we discussed today
yeah,
and,
yeah.
see where you are. Is that
I'd
a
love
good
to.
idea?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I'm so happy to meet you in person,
Oh, thank
and
you.
I'm sure everybody's very excited to see what direction you take Bloomfield Township in, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
back in a few months.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and
Okay.
thank you for tuning in to AP on Play. We will see you next time.